So, are you thinking home prices are about to crash? Hi, I'm Jim Mazziotti. I'm a realtor in the Del Webb community at Trinity Falls in McKinney, Texas. And thank you so much for watching my Senior to Seniors podcast. One of the biggest reasons buyers are still sitting on the sidelines right now is because they think home prices are going to come down. Some believe a crash is coming and they'll get a better deal if they hold off. Others worry they'll buy now and watch their home's value fall later. And nobody wants to overpay or buy right before values drop. But here's the question worth asking here today on June 18th, 2026. What if the crash you're waiting for isn't actually coming? Because that's what the latest data suggests. Experts are not calling for a crash. If you've spent any time online lately, you've seen posts claiming home prices are about to come crashing down. Some people even depend on their expert neighbors to let them know about what's happening in the real estate market. And it's true that some markets are seeing small price declines right now, but that's not the same thing as a nationwide crash. While some places are going through a price adjustment, sometimes it's very normal. Realtor.com data shows us home prices are still rising in 71% of housing markets across the country. The trouble is, since negative news sells, you're seeing more coverage about how a handful of markets are seeing declines than how the majority are seeing prices rise. And that's unfortunate. It's exactly why a lot of buyers end up with the impression that prices are falling everywhere when they're not. So, how do you really know where prices are really headed from here? Well, that's where the Home Price Expectation Survey, known as the HPES from Fannie Mae, comes in. Fannie Mae says home prices will rise for the next 5 years. Every quarter, more than 100 economists, housing experts, and market analysts are asked where they think home prices are headed based on the latest data available. And despite all the uncertainty in today's market, there's one thing they largely agreed upon. They don't think a crash is coming. In fact, the average of all of their forecasts calls for home prices to rise every year for at least the next 5 years. I've placed a graph on my Facebook page, my Jim Mazziotti Facebook page, that shows this in detail. Take a look at it when you're done listening to my podcast. The point is that the overwhelming expectation isn't for prices to fall. It's for prices to rise at a more normal pace. And just in case you're looking at the forecast and saying, well, of course they'd say that. Know that this survey doesn't just include optimists. It includes pessimists too. Even the pessimists aren't predicting a crash. Researchers broke the panel into groups based upon how bullish or how bearish they were about housing. The result? Even the most pessimistic group still expects home prices to climb over the next 5 years. Optimists think we'll see prices go up roughly 4% a year, and pessimists say it's going to be closer to 1%. Well, the reality may be somewhere in the middle. And again, I have a graph on my Jim Mazziotti Facebook page that shows this. Think about that for a second. The debate among experts isn't whether prices will crash, it's how much they'll actually rise. That's a very different conversation than the one happening across social media and maybe with your expert next door neighbor. This means waiting could actually cost you. So if you're putting off your move until prices come down, you may be disappointed. According to the experts, a widespread crash is not in the cards. In fact, based on the HPES forecast, a buyer who purchased a $400,000 home in January would gain nearly $40,000 in equity over the next 5 years from appreciation alone, even in this more modern market. Of course, this all depends on local market conditions. This forecast is a national average, but broadly speaking, if the experts are right, the bigger risk isn't that prices will crash. It may be waiting for a crash that never comes. Because depending on your market, if you wait, you could be missing out on $40,000 in equity or paying $40,000 more for the same home today in 5 years. Here's the bottom line. A lot of buyers are waiting because they think prices will fall. But that's not what the experts are saying. If you're trying to decide whether waiting makes sense, connect with a local agent wherever you are. I'll help you with that if you need to find an expert agent in your area. I'm connected over the last 44 years to a lot of fantastic expert real estate agents. They'll help you understand what's happening in your market so you can make better decisions. I'm Jim Mazziotti. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day.